You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Hey folks, good evening and welcome again to another Money Space with me, Kalu Aja. Of course, in this space we're talking money, the economy, finance. We want to make it personal to you. I want to teach you more about that money you have in your pocket so you can be better stewards of it, and of course you can invest it for the good of yourself, your family, and the economy. Well, today we're talking access to finance. That's the topic. And of course, the report we're going to be talking about today is also titled Access to Finance, the Nigerian Perspective 2024-2025. It's a report done in partnership with Finance in Africa. And we have the owners of that report to talk to us here about what it's all about. This report always, in my view, give you a sense of where the rubber meets the road. You know, we can talk around Bitcoin, we can talk around investment, we talk about real estate, but in the end, you've got to be financially included to invest in this market that we speak about here every weekend. When we see reports like this, essentially a thermometer to see how far or how deep we have basically brought in this population of Nigeria onto the formal financial space. So I'm pleased to have Yinka here with me. We're going to really talk around the report. I have a few questions for Yinka. I'm going to also share the report. If you look at my last tweet, I put the report out there, so you can also download the report and follow. Yinka is going to be here. I'll ask him a few questions. I'll try to share the visuals of what I'm asking, so you can also follow if you're just on Twitter as well. So Yinka, you've got the floor. You want to unmute and just introduce yourself. Tell us about the report, who you guys did it with, why you guys did it, and what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Kano. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir. Go for it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much. My name is Yinka Awusoya, Director of Business Intelligence and Business Front as the parent company of Interpoint. Interpoint is one that released reports. So we did it in partnership with Finance in Africa. So why did we do the report? So in 2023, we released a report around the financial space in Nigeria, which is the Nigerian Financial Service Market Report, which we did in partnership with Money Point. And then 2 years down the line, we're like, okay, let's look at what has changed between then and now. Like, let's give the status of the industry, and like let's assess what has happened between 2020 to 2023 when we worked on that report and now. So this one we did it between 2020, December 2024 and February of this year. But like, okay, let's do it. And then we had to partner with our sister company, Finance in Africa. So yes, since your focus is finance, so let's come together and work on this, which is why we did it. And then since we're using it, we've been getting good feedback.
Oh, perfect, Yinka. You still there, Yinka?
Yes, I'm with you.
Perfect. Yeah, I found it very enriching. Lots of insights I did not know, but lots that I knew, but I think you guys went into give us more updated numbers. So I have like 10 questions. Don't worry, the folks that are here, you can ask your own questions. But let me just run through my questions. What I did find interesting. First things first, I saw this, should we say, cascading number. According to the NIBB, the Nigerian banking. What's that? The actual name for them? Uh, NIPS.
NIBS.
Good, NIPS. According to NIPS, we have
NIBS.
Yep, we have 311 million bank accounts. So 311 million active bank accounts. Good, that's the top number. But we have 64.9 million BVNs.
That's from January this year.
January this year. So you can see it goes from 311 to 64.9 million. We then talk about specialized banking or not, or even investment like the retirement savings account. We are now at about 10 million.
10 million, yes.
10 million. Gotcha. So we're going from 311, which means, of course, some folks have more than one bank account. So that's why we have 311.
Yes, definitely.
So can you relate those numbers for us? 311, 64.9, and about 10 million RSAs. What's happening there?
So, if you take a poll of the listeners on this Twitter space now, we'll see that like more than 50% probably have at least 2 bank accounts. So that tells you that okay, yes. So so basically, bank account for us in Nigeria is like SIM cards, and every person will probably have 2 SIM cards, and it's using a dual SIM phone. And if it's not using a dual SIM phone, it's using a big phone and then a small phone to put the second line. So it's the same thing with bank accounts in Nigeria. And then now take that to retirement savings, which is very poor, considering that in Africa we really don't. For Africans, mostly retirement plan is the children. Just I think the children say that when you get grow old. But then I believe that since people are working, you should be able to you should be able to see towards retirement. But then that's really not the case, in spite of the fact that it's compulsory for you to see towards retirement, but that's really not happening. And if you have 10.4 million retirement savings as of Q3 2024, which is very low. And then if you take this further, we can say that yes, there are other people that are not in the formal sector which cannot because that means they can't save retirement savings. And there is a micro pension plan which has been in play for a couple of years now. But then you'll be shocked that we have about 160,000 as of Q3 last year, which is considerably low considering the large number of people we have in the country that are in the informal sector. So it's just a case of it also brought down to yes, it seems that we are not pushing education, financial education. Folks, you talk to folks on the street that are in the informal sector, whether they know about medical pension plan, which they can sign or since they can be on they can have an RSA, because they don't know it. So it's just that information is not getting out there. So which is why we have a lot of people are in the financial space already, just have multiple bank accounts because you can have it.
So we have the bank. Lots of Nigerians have banks. Many Nigerians have one bank. But when we do BVN, does it mean that the 64 million is the real verified bank account? We say active bank account, but the BVN.
Yes.
So what? So will the other 57 million go away?
No, so by the Nigerian standard, so BVN is like for anyone to be in the financial system, you have to have a BVN. Okay, no, let me rephrase that. So anyone can be in the financial system, but then for you to have a commercial bank account, you need a BVN. And then, so if you have BVN, you can have an account, but then there's a limit to the type of transactions you can do, the amount of money that can enter that account, and all that. So that makes it that okay, BVN is like the entry point. Yes, there are other entry points, but to really enter the financial space, you need BVN because an account without a BVN, there is a whole lot of limits on that account. So which makes BVN like the unique identifier. So the BVN is like, yes, this is the number of people with an account that is useful. Yes, other accounts might be there, but then there's limit to what they can do with that account. And there's also the fact that so the BVN was designed to limit. When I say to limit, in the sense that to get a BVN, you have to enter a commercial bank branch. So the fintech guys, the new banks, they can't register you for BVN. So you need to enter a commercial bank, and then this commercial bank, their spread is not that much compared to the guys, other players in the financial space.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go to fintech startups in Nigeria. I saw a report. There are over 300 fintech startups in Nigeria. That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
Yes.
I was just interested. Are these mostly, is this a deposit play or a credit play? Do we have more fintechs doing savings and banking, or do we just have them doing come and take a loan? What's the real focus of this of the fintechs in Nigeria? Deposits or loans?
So it's both, but then it's more on loan than deposits. And even the loan, there is a part of the report that asks people where they take loan from, and it's a lot of them friends and family, and then you have the commercial banks, you have the company, you have the commercial bank, and then you have the micro the fintechs on the other very very low. Having very small share of that. So it's basically, yes, there are a lot of fintechs doing loans, but then when it comes to this, the charges attached to this loan. So the fintech in Nigeria, getting a loan, the interest is about 20 to 30%, and in most cases it's per month, 20 to 20% per month. But then you have the friends and family that you loan a friend, you loan a money from a guy, is likely not charging interest, and if the charging interest, probably something just play with, okay, just give me a 500 on 10,000 or thereabout. But then you have the cooperative that's very very low, and you have the commercial banks that are charging maybe like some are charging as low as 2 to 3% per month. So that, and then you have the other loan apps, a few fintechs that are doing upward of 20 to 35 in most cases. So for that, so I believe what play the role is really the interest rate that is attached to it. And yes, so at this guys using it for loan, yes, some are using it for loan, but not really the cost, because in most cases, that's which one they will use most next year. And the case of they are mostly going to trust commercial banks more than it. So then best questions of what are they using it for? Yes, the fintech guys have the free transfers. Some of them do free transfers, and some of them that don't do free transfers, their transfer fee is low compared to the industry standard. So it's just a case of using it for the day-to-day expenses and all that.
Okay, fantastic. So let's come to POS merchants. Your report didn't say this exclusively, but I saw the massive number of POS agents in Nigeria. I think there's 1.8 million.
1.9 million.
1.9 million POS agents. So your report, yeah, and POS are those guys that stay under the umbrella, right? And umbrellas, kiosks, you give them cash, they give you cash. So your report didn't say this, but look at my question: is this high number, is it financial inclusion or an indictment that the banks have not really driven their really low commercial banking to the rooks and crannies? So what I'm asking is that, do we have POS because the banks are not doing a good job, or do we have POS because we are trying to deepen the access to finance in Nigeria? Which is more of?
We have POS because we are trying to deepen financial access in Nigeria. So before POS became very, very what it is today, that it's almost everywhere. So the banks have similar, whereby they use people's shops. So you have someone that is running a shop, so you just use the person as an agent. So the person is basically accepting deposits as well as giving, making withdrawals and account creation on behalf of the banks. That's like the banks have been doing that. I remember UPA, Zenith, and all. They used to do that before POS became. So it was a case of doing that. It's like, okay, this thing works, so now let's do POS. So this POS was like, yes, because of the cost implication, the capital intensive of running bank branches in these areas. So having POS there and having the agent guys there who serve the interest of the banks, making sure that yes, these people have access to financial services like account creation and all that. And which brings me back to to a point I made earlier about information. So these period guys, they are empowered to help people to create bank accounts. But then people don't know that. And when you ask people if they know that they can walk to a POS agent and ask the person to help them create an account, they said they didn't know that. So and then there are also cases whereby even the POS agents, those that are doing it, don't know like the services that they are empowered to do. So for them, it's just basically withdrawal and deposit, and their bills payments.
Interesting that you can create a bank account from a POS. I don't think many Nigerians know that.
Exactly, and then there's also the fact that yes, there are a lot of POS agents. But you'll be surprised that most of those guys are in city, which is still like this. We have most of the commercial banks in the city. We still have the POS guys that's supposed to like bridge the gap between the commercial and this is where the commercial banks can be. You see, most of them still in the city, which are like, okay, what are we then trying to address the POS if the POS guys, if they are not going to be in remote areas where this commercial banks cannot really penetrate?
Yeah, which brings me to my next question. I found this rather strange. It looked more like an oxymoron. There's this chart you guys have on POS agents and if a bank is nearby. So it says here when there's a bank close by, POS agency usage goes up to 95%. When there's no bank close by, POS agency use is about 89%. So it doesn't make sense to me. Why would I use a POS more when there's a bank nearby? It shouldn't be the other way around, that when there is no bank, then I use the POS agent. It doesn't make. Can you explain what's going on there?
Okay, so there are two parts to that. So there is, yes, the bank is nearby. Okay, but then how nearby is the bank? Or the bank is likely not to be on my street. But then there is definitely a POS guy on my street. Or I walk out of my street, the station, I see a POS guy under an umbrella. That's on one part. Then on the other part is I might get to the bank now and I see a long queue. Whether I am doing my transaction inside the market hall or just outside the ATM. So there's a chance that okay, I might meet a long queue. But the chance of meeting a long queue, meeting a queue at all with a POS guy, it's very low. So it's a case of there's a comfort part, and then there's okay, I want to do this thing in 1 or 2 minutes, and I'm out. And then there's also the fact that you walk into an ATM, and then it's not dispensing for you. Recently, the CBN was trying to like, okay, yes, so it's trying to sanction banks that don't have cash in their POS. In their ATM machine, I tried using one bank yesterday. You have 3 machines and only one is dispensing. So you have people that queue to use that single one. And then to just walk about less than 100 meters away, you see a couple of people under umbrella that are easily accessible.
Yeah, and is this right? I mean, when we say financial inclusion, I've gone to a bank before, like you said, all the ATMs, big bank, $1 trillion bank, $1 trillion bank, as we say in Nigeria, ATMs are not working. But the POS next door has got cash. This is the most modern city in the largest economy in West Africa, top 5 economy in Africa. Should we allow POS? Let me use POS. I don't like to use POS. It makes it look fancy. Should we allow folks with umbrellas replace ATM machines in $1 trillion banks in modern mega cities? Does that tell right about the financial inclusion in Nigeria?
No. So in a city like Ikeja, for instance, definitely no. It doesn't speak well, and it makes it like a competition between the agency banking guys, as the POS guys, and the banks. But in a remote area, it makes position the POS guys as the point for those guys because they don't have access to the bank. to the physical bank branch. In the city, definitely not, and it doesn't speak well for the industry as a whole, because it's a case of we are in the city and then you walk into a bank to withdraw and you can't withdraw. And there's also the part that yes, you want to withdraw and they tell you that you can't withdraw above a certain threshold. Why? Because they don't have cash.
But the POS has cash. I mean,
Yes, guys have cash.
if I was a conspiracy theorist, right, I would say that the banks were working in cahoots with the POS guys. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I won't say it. But it just sounds like POS guys have cash, banks don't have cash. There's a line at the banks, there's no line. It doesn't make sense. But let's move on, because I know lots of folks want to ask a question. Guys, if you want to ask a question, just don't worry, I'll put you on very soon. Just want to get through my few questions for Yinka, and then of course Yinka will take all your questions. Yinka, next question I have is, why do females not have bank accounts in Nigeria? According to your chart here, the males that do not have a bank account, only 53% of males don't have a bank account, but only 37% of females have a bank account. 37, less than 40. Because I saw MTN's public offer, women were like almost 2/3. Women doubled up on men on the MTN public offer and bought a lot of shares. But you're saying that women in Nigeria don't have bank accounts. It's strange to me. What's going on?
So this has been something that over several reports that we've worked on, that is always like in my face. I'm like, so why is this always the case whereby you are trying to say this between men and women? It also boils down to remuneration as well. So you're like, there are more men earning more than women, and then there are there are less women in this particular field or in this particular thing than women. So which is really something that's like come at every point in time. But then it's a case of yes. So you have more women are likely to be in the informal sector than the formal sector, and that's another conversation on its own. So for the pension now, so in Q3, new RSs are registered in Q3. About 60% are male. Q3 last year, about 60% are male. So this is like about 39 about female. So like very low. So now look at that. So you are saying yes, they don't have bank accounts. So how about retirement savings? It's even still lower, like 39 to 61%. Like the margin is just wide.
So let me do a follow-up on that. Would you say that maybe women get loans because women do mostly trading in Nigeria? They do Mama BC, Papa and Kechi. Would you say it is because they get loans from maybe cooperative that they don't go to the banks? Is there somewhere else? Is that what's going on? That they don't use the banks, but the men use the banks? Is that an excuse we can use?
Yes. So I would say that's the perfect excuse. So you have the women in cooperative and as well as the microfinance banks, which to a very large extent it's not really so there's the microfinance guys and then there's the commercial banks that are on their own. So the microfinance guys are just like on their own little league. So but then you have the female guys doing more of those as well as cooperative. Because in most cases they are more, so you have microfinance that will tell you that they are more female centric. So they're trying to address that gap, that gender gap in the financial sector by going after because these guys are in the informal sector and them having to go to a commercial bank might be more just for them. But then the microfinance guys practically bring banking from their own office to their own place of work. So yes, I'll say your point makes perfect sense. So yes, they have these guys in microfinance, the microfinance bank serving them as well as the cooperative societies, which are all over the place.
So I would say this. What that tells me, if I'm an entrepreneur, right, and I was able to create a bank for females, maybe something that is branded for females, that is maybe not just the color, but the language, the employees, products, targeting females. I might be onto something here because the numbers is very, very low. In Nigeria is nearly 200 million people, and we're saying nearly 40% of females have a bank account. And we're a very sophisticated society, right? Society that does a lot of trading. So I would just say that maybe this is a shout out or a red flag or a canary in the mine to the banks and to the folks that want to set up something. There's a big opportunity there for you if you're going to do something that's going to target women, not the younger women, but I think the older trading type women that mostly do Ajor and cooperatives. There's something there for you if you can bring those people into that space. I think you might be onto something there. All right, let's go to this report. Yeah, where do people get loans from? Family and friends, 29%. Cooperatives, 19%. Then you get to commercial banking, 19%. And other loan apps, 17%. Microfinance banks, 15%. So in essence, when I want a loan, I go to my family and my friends first before I go to the banks. Why?
Definitely. It's cheaper. If I am in the jam now, or I'm stocked up and I need a few cash, the first person I'm probably to is just I come and say, hi, I need 20k. I'll send it to you. I'll give it back in 2 days. It's cheap because she's not going to charge me interest on it. What's worse, I buy a bit of food and that's it. If I ask a friend, it's going to be the same case. I'm getting it for free. Cooperative society, which is the next one. Is that?
Yeah, but you have to push back on that. Is it because of the cost, or is it just the cost? Because if a bank loan is talking about, I want to get more money. So is it just because of the cost that folks will go to the bank account? Just to be clear, is the cost alone?
Two things. I'll say the cost and then the accessibility.
Okay.
The cost accessibility. So at times you request for a loan either on the bank app or on your loan app. So it takes time for them to process, look up the credit score and all that. At times you might take up to like 30 minutes or more. But then I'm just calling someone, and while on the call, I get a decision. Yes, I'm giving you a note. And this person is not giving me, I call the next person.
Okay.
So there's the cost and then there's accessibility part of it.
I see. Okay. And again, so I can let folks speak. Gotcha. So I can let folks. This is going to be my last question. So I can have more questions. I'm going to let folks speak. There's a report here I see financial services that people need. It's talking about the services that Nigerians need. Yes. Number one, Nigerians need savings account 25%, debit card 14%. You can see fixed deposit 13%. You go loans 10%. Then you go down to credit cards 5%. For you talked about the fintech guys are mostly a loan play. How come Nigerians need more savings accounts and less credit cards?
So credit card is still doesn't that penetration in Nigeria. Credit card is still very, very low. Not a lot of people know that. Not even a lot of people know that. Yes, Nigerian banks offer credit cards. Anyway, what we so just in case of I just get my debit card out and I move on. So not a lot of Nigerians still know that. Yes, a lot a few of the Nigerian banks offer credit cards. So there is that part of where the penetration is still very low, and then probably there is no say okay, come and collect credit card, come and collect. So there is see that okay, yes, the penetration is low, and then the information about it is not so much out there. So it's just a case of people having looking at okay, I'm looking at what's currently available, originally available to me. Yes, so I just align my need towards that. Sure, you have savings, and then economy in the last couple of years, I was okay, yes, trying to save for the training they wish to get at any point in time. So it's just this one, looking at what the products and services that are readily available and then align the need towards that.
Which again, in an economy like Nigeria, where we have the incomes have not risen in peak with inflation and consumption is very, very low, you would think that there will be more of a need to have credit access, not the credit loan itself, but the access. But it seems it seems that more Nigerians want to do savings.
So you have loan at the fifth spot. I would say that's not the black spot. At least you see about 3 other products under it. So I believe that's something. But then there is a part of yes for loan in Nigeria. So there's a sentiment that loan is not good. Preaching for someone to buy something on loan probably not go well with you because you're like trying to push them into debt. So the concept of loan and debt is really not that interest in our system, which is why when we buy something, we buy it outright. Someone is buying a house, is buying it outright, buying a car, you buy it outright. When you say you get it on loan, and you're like, why do you get it on loan? You just say it towards and then buy it outright. Okay. So there is that concept in Nigeria that is seen on yes. Why should I take a loan? No. So people don't want to. So that's the issue. So I say, so it's a case of looking at what's currently available and then just aligning my. So it's just that cultural bias that okay, yes, loan is bad.
Cultural bias. That's the key word there. That's a cultural bias. Yeah. All right, Yinka. Let me let lots of folks have questions. I don't want to monopolize the floor. I've been talking to Yinka from Intel Point about the Access to Finance report, the Nigerian Perspective 2024, 2025. Lots of little nuggets there. You see, I just extracted 10. I have tons of them. You really have to read the report, and I think it gives you an insight into how Nigerians think. If you're an entrepreneur or you have a fintech and you want to basically go into Nigeria, this is a very, very good report to understand where we are and where we can go to. There are also other reports, other data points that I think are very instructive. But I just want to go back to this females banking in Nigeria. I think if we have a society where we don't have at least 50-50, I mean, that means we're not playing at top 11. Women can be at 40% access to finance in any society, and the society is going to move forward, especially in a society in Nigeria where women do most of the trading. If you are trading, you need more of the banking access, or should we say financial inclusion access, and that's not happening in Nigeria. So please, red flag or shout out to anyone that wants to do this. Focus more on the women. It doesn't have to be the words, but the product, how they pay, how you organize them, those have to be geared towards the cultural and the laws of Nigeria. That will bring them more into the formal workspace. All right, let's get Hammer. Hammer, hand is up. Let's do Hammer. Hammer, go for it, sir.
Thank you very much, Carl. Good morning from here. Yinka, hi. Before Carlo talked about financial inclusion, I wanted to talk about financial inclusion. I wanted you to, I don't know if a lot of us understand what financial inclusion is, and I think he had pointed about, what's it called? POS, was that really the strategy in the financial inclusion penetration? Because I know about this because one of the biggest bank back in 2018, 2019, I run a advertising agency. They got a brief, to handle their campaign on financial inclusion. At the time, we had the report, and also because, we were planning something big penetration around the world, for transfers of monies from different countries. So I wanted to get a perspective on the strategy behind the financial inclusion in Nigeria and what the current data says about financial inclusion, because of geographical locations, and I wanted you to talk about that briefly. And also, finally, my final question would be, why is it that companies in Nigeria, like mine, would always want to, or rather, banks would approach us to open an account for our staffs? Why is it that, we can't just pay money to different accounts, of staffs, even when they just newly employed into the company, where we just want to pay money, but, banks will say, okay, why don't you just open an account for all your staffs? That kind of a thing. So I wanted you to touch on those for me. Thank you.
Right. To start with your last question. So that strategy is just basically for them to get more customers. Because notice, yes, they already have people in there. You're employing new persons. The person doesn't have an account with them. You open a salary account with them, so that makes the person their customer. So that's just a simple strategy of them accumulating more customers. On the first question about financial inclusion. So financial inclusion is basically access to financial services, and it also has to be affordable. So in Nigeria, so when we say access to financial inclusion, in most cases, what people are just trying to say is bank account, and financial inclusion goes beyond having a bank account. So there's insurance, there's mortgage, there's pension, there's a whole lot of financial services that people are supposed to have access to. Just that banking is the entry point, because to do any business with any other financial services, you need a bank account and all that. So it's like the entry point. So there is that. But then in most cases, when people say they are playing in the financial inclusion spaces, what they are mostly doing in Nigeria is like banking the people that are already banked. So you have the new banks that are like, okay, yes, your products is targeting people that are already in the financial system, people that already have bank accounts. So it's not really targeting those without bank account. And then the system doesn't really help them to do that, because as I said earlier, to get a BVN, you need to walk into a commercial bank branch. So by that, the fintech guys, the new banks, they can't bring people in. They can't bring fresh people in, and when they do, so there's a limit to what their customer can do with that account. Until they walk into a commercial bank to get a BVN. So there's the investment guys who are trying to invest in stocks, real estate, and all that don't really know this. So those guys, to a very large extent, are doing the work of bringing people into the financial fold, making sure that people have access to other financial services aside banking. So with them, you can invest, you can lock up money, you can have the fixed, you can save money, lock it up for a long period of time. So those guys are, but in most cases, the new banks are just basically banking, they're just rebanking people that are already banked. So there is that. I just want to say it's just basically that, because tomorrow night you can wake up and someone is launching a fintech, and what is he doing? It's they're working towards the Citizen's financial inclusion drive. What are they basically doing is rebanking the bank. Not banking the unbanked.
That's interesting. Yinka, just to be clear, what you're saying is that only the banks can issue the BVN. So if I have
only a commercial bank can do that.
So if I have a fintech that wants to say maybe sell equity, sell stocks, just do that kind of trading, they first of all have to then get the BVN.
So exactly. But then to do those, you must have been in the financial space already.
No, I mean, I get what I'm saying. If I was like a bank and I wanted to have an app that would just do, say, investment banking, like stocks, shares, Bitcoin, they first of all have to have the BVN to even still want to open a bank account to buy the shares from my app. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
I got you.
No. So not all of them require you to have the BVN. So the BVN is just for you to get a commercial bank account.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is like the entry point into the banking system.
Understood.
Or financial system.
Yeah. Hamad, are you okay with your questions? You good?
Yeah, I just have a follow-up to that. So my thoughts would be on the financial inclusion, that there are many places in Nigeria that doesn't have banking locations. In fact, if you can go to a state, they probably don't have up to 20 locations of bank. I'm just saying that could be ridiculously.
Right.
Yeah, that could be ridiculous, in exaggeration. But my point is, how do we then explain or define that type of situation? I thought that the financial inclusion would be by location. How many banks are in this local government? People here. I know that sometimes MBS do not have the proper data in terms of numbers of where people are located, the kind of institutions that are around there, or maybe because of insecurities here and there. But even before insecurity, I think we've always had this issue of financial inclusion. Then finally, do you think that it is sustainable? Because I remember back in 2019 to be very precise, I was just close to getting a license for my by fintech companies. You know, I'm gonna withhold so many informations. So it was about I think about 5 billion naira for the license at the time. Right now, it has jumped to about 200 billion. You know, in fact, many of the costs at the time, even to get your Burundi change licenses and all, you know, because I mean, my family have a Burundi change. So now that many of these licenses have increased, do you think it is sustainable? Or do you think maybe with a new administration, all these things are going to be reviewed downward? You know, I don't know if the new administration was trying to compare
I think
itself.
it's got your question, but yeah,
Okay,
I think
okay,
it's just in
all right.
terms of inflation, the naira. It's just in on dollar terms, Hammer. I'm pretty sure if you do dollar terms, it hasn't gone up. It hasn't gone up. But if you do naira terms, but let Yinka answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I would just say it's a case of will it make business sense for you to do that as a business? To say, okay, yes, you are dropping this amount as what do you take on billions of naira as um, the equity that you have to have before you you get a license for a financial institution. So the question would be, will it make business sense to do that? And how long will it take for your investors before your investor will start, okay, yes, there's ROI. So yes, that's just that. To just add to what you said earlier about the banks in Nigeria. So we released a report in 2023, and Taraba State has the lowest bank branches in Nigeria. And yes, they had only 20 branches, commercial bank branches. Everywhere has 20, Yobe 24. Bayelsa, Jigawa, and Zamfara last 29 each. So just to add to the fact that there's not a lot of these things have a lot of penetration.
And that correlates, if you look at the GDP per capita for the states, the bank branches correlate to GDP per capita of those states as well.
Yeah.
All right, got you. Let's get Ken. Ken, you've got the floor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Carlo. Great analysis, Yinka, and well done with your report. I mean, to be honest, what I would like to say, most of it have been discussed by the both of you when Carlo was asking the question. Most especially the one that hits me the most, that I would say, has been hitting me for so long is with regard to the activities of our financial institution, and most especially the commercial banks in Nigeria. I'm not a big fan of them because, yes, one would say that they are a private organization and they are profit driven, bottom line driven. But again, it's really extreme, because I remember when you walk on the street of Lagos, Abuja, you see, ATM machines being built in even neutral locations, not just bank premises, because then the concept was to push these devices to ensure that Nigerians are able to get their cash and not come into the bank. But these days, you go to banks and you can't even find cash. And just opposite the bank, there are umbrellas there, and everybody there, you can go and get cash and buy, not just get cash, you buy your money. Someone put it that way, and that's the best way to capture it. For you to get your money, you have to buy, just opposite the bank. And what I see here is that bottom line is in a way for them to avoid this cost. Why should they invest when there's an option out there? POS operators are in their millions in the country. They come to collect money from the bank, and they even pay to even get this money. So the bank is making money by not investing in this infrastructure. And you have captured it very well. This thing about financial inclusion in Nigeria is going to be expensive. It's not a charity endeavor, and the only way it can be driven to the rural areas where they are needed the most is actually the commercial bank, because they control everything, the BVN and all that. You've explained that. Actually, shows that this has to come from the government, putting policies in place to ensure that this diffusion happens. So my question to you now would be, looking at where we are, our financial system does not support Nigerian individuals and small businesses. If you're a small business in Nigeria, and you need loan, you can't even approach the bank. They won't even listen to you. And you are forced to go to loan sharks who will charge you 20 to 30% per month. In fact, I was speaking with a contractor who is a Lebanese, but working in Nigeria. He told me he can't even get loan. This is a construction company. He said he cannot even approach Nigerian bank to get loan for 30%. That is crazy. It's not heard of anywhere in the world except Nigeria, maybe Argentina. It's not heard of that. He can't even do that. And this is somebody who brought his money from outside Nigeria to invest in Nigeria. So my question to you is, what exactly would you advise the CBN to do today to move Nigeria to a credit system where people can actually take loan and then create value? Because that's one way we can actually create value, not just in selling more oil and all that. What do you think you can advise the CBN if you are in a position to do that today? Thank you.
So if I am in a position to advise the CBN, but first, one thing I believe that we need to address first before going all the way to CBN is trying to break that cultural barrier of credit, of us viewing credit or debt as a bad thing. So there is that. Yes, people on this call might say they don't see credit that way, but then if you go out there on the street, credit loan are being viewed as something that you should not even touch with a 6 feet pole. It's because there is that question that to get loan, loan is bad for you. That's on one part. Then on the other part of CPN, so it just be a case of making sure that accessing financial services is very, very affordable. Yes, the banks are there to make money, but then we still need to make sure that it is. The former CBN governor, Lamido Sanusi, so he came in on the first, he came in, the first thing he did was remove the charges on back ATM. I think then if you do your top withdrawal, you're charged 100 naira. And did you remove it completely or put it to 35 naira? I can't remember now, so 7-8 years ago, thereabout. So what he did was like, yes, people should not be paying a lot to access that money. And then we have the next government that came in and just like increased the thing. And right now, so if an ATM is not domiciled in a bank premises, you're paying more to access, to make a withdrawal than if it's in a bank premises. So in the last couple of months, so they've increased the charge you're supposed to pay when you use other people's your bank A, but you're withdrawing at bank B. So the amounts for you to withdraw has increased. They increased that a couple of months ago, thereabout. So doing stuff like that won't encourage people. So if I'm in a position to advise you, need to make sure that financial services is as affordable as possible. Yes, it should still make business sense for the banks, but then it should be as affordable, because if it's not affordable, that means people will not want to be in the former financial setup. I hope that answer is acceptable. It's okay.
Yinka, also, let me also say, Yinka, I saw it on the report, right? They asked Nigerians about their trust in Nigerian financial institutions. I will say the result did surprise me, because if you're on Twitter, all I see is people complaining about the banks. But in Nigeria here, 43% have a very, very high trust level of Nigerian financial institutions, and 48% have a moderate trust level of Nigerian financial institutions. Only 7% have a negative view of Nigerian financial institutions. I was surprised that the figures were this high. I would have expected more Nigerians would complain, but that's what the results say.
I want to say something, though.
You would say something. Just hold on. We'll come to you, Honorable. I'll come to you real quick. Yeah, Ken, did you have a follow-up or you're good? So I can go to Premium then, Honorable.
Oh, you can go. There's too much problems to be solved in our financial sector. But thank you very much, Inka. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Premium. I've got you on Premium. Are you there? Premium. If Premium is not getting ready, let me just quickly go to Honorable. Honorable, you've got the floor, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity. When I saw the topic, access to finance, I was like, for real.
They'll give you money.
Let me use myself as a case study.
Yes, sir.
Do you know I take loan every month? 1 million to pay 1.5, 2 million to pay 3 million every month.
What are you into, sir? Trading or what are you into, sir?
I have a company that produces this 3D polo.
So
I have all the machines. I have a factory that produces polo, any type of polo. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I have capacity of 5,000 in a week. You understand?
Yeah.
But maybe if I have a client that book a job of 5 million, you understand? And normally clients we pay 50% now. You get?
Yes.
So, and plus and minus, before you get all these things done and make things happen, you need another money to support one or two things. I have to borrow money from all this online loan, especially Carbon has been a wonderful one, but their charges is too crazy.
How much do you pay, if you don't mind me asking?
Crazy.
How much do you pay? Do you mind me asking?
Huh?
How much is your interest you pay to them, if you don't mind me asking?
For example, if Carbon give you 1 million, you pay 1,580,000.
1,500,000. So that's 58%.
Follow.
Wow.
Per month, please.
How long is it? Where do you pay back? Like every month or?
It's every month now. 1 month loan is 580,000.
Wow.
So the question I will ask,
Yeah, he want. Go ahead, Inka.
so the question I will ask is, have you tried approaching the bank? Because with the kind of business that you are doing and having money coming into your account, that will mean that, okay, yes, you are bankable, in quotes. So the question is, have you tried approaching the banks to say, yes, you need this? And
okay, let me give you an example. There is material that I normally use. The material is around 350 then. You understand? I approach Access Bank to just give me a loan of 5 million so I can afford those material because it's adding money. Do you know it took Access Bank 3 days to decline my request, asking I should bring a collateral. So I have a factory that has all the machines you need. You understand? Even though I'm on a lease there, but my machine is worth more than what I'm asking for as a loan. You understand what I'm saying?
so,
And
your primary accounts then?
yes, it's till date. Yes, till date. I've been with Assets like for 10 years. I'll be 8 years from Diamond to Assets.
Continue, sir.
So I approach these people. They keep on delaying me 4 months. I couldn't get that loan from them. And before you know it, the material I'm buying 350 is 1,300 naira.
Wow. So what did you have to then go to the online people?
Yes, I have to borrow from OPay, borrow from Carbon, borrow from Pampe, about 400. I have to make up to 2.5 million to purchase my goods. So instead of maybe if I do a job of 10 million, I'm supposed to have a cash bag of 6 million because it's a production. You understand? Now that this 6 million is going on servicing of loan.
That's serious. You can hear what he's saying, right? You know, he cannot get a bank loan that is cheaper from the banks, but he can get a loan online. So essentially, he's just maintaining relationships. He's maintaining relationships because 58% a month. Are you on? Honorable, are you on band A? Or is it band B? How do you power your factory? Man, serious question.
No, look at why it's not funny, okay, but you can't do anything about it. I have workers that I pay. I have so many loans that I run for election, you understand? I sold almost 4 of my property. I spent both loans and all this. I spent close to 100 million because from Apuga to Labour Party. So it was a lot of money. You understand? So, but the only thing that left for me is my factory because I know I can still bounce back, which I'm bouncing back already.
So okay, if I was to ask you a question, would you say the problem is lack of the loan, or there is loan but it's high interest rate, or is it just the cost of doing business is high? What, as a guy on ground, what is really your number one, number two issue in manufacturing in Nigeria?
If bank were able to help manufacturers, especially small, medium, this thing, without going further, asking for collateral with CFO, or you must have a shop in the market. Many production company will make a lot of money because there's a lot of money in production. You understand what I'm saying? Having a polo business in Nigeria that is more gainful than any other thing you can think of. As farmers are making money the same way we are making our own money. Because I have the machines, I have all it takes. What I'm talking about, you see all this campaign polo now.
Yeah.
All these 3D polos, player polo, all these customized advert or whatever.
Yeah.
You understand?
So let me ask you, sir. Are you exporting these things? Do you have plans, or it's just local for now? It's local for now.
What do you mean by local? What I produce is exactly what China produce now.
So are you thinking of exporting?
How can you export when banks in Nigeria are mixing people like us up?
I hear you, sir.
You know, one thing with Nigerian loan, Nigerian bank loan is like 18 months, 1 year. But these people own is 1 month, 2 months.
Wow.
You understand now? So if you are taking loan from them, you must be sure that you are putting it in. You are getting the profit immediately to repay this.
Understood, sir. Yeah, I mean, Yinka, this is your demographic. This is your report right here. We have, and your report says that the bulk of Nigerians are getting loans from cooperative, and that we have 300 fintech. So if 300 fintech are lending out funds at 60%, and this guy is here, he can't get loans from a bank, is he really financially included if he has a bank account, but he can't go to his bank to get a loan to expand?
Not really.
That's the problem.
So I'll try and my sister, I'm trying to be a devil's advocate now. So for the banks, it's a case of making sure that they will be able to get their repayments back, which is why you say, okay, yes, you need collateral, you need this, you need that, which is going to be a very different case for a salary person, because you know that the salary is domiciled there and they're likely not running away, so they're likely to give you that. So it's a case of, yes, the banks, they are in for business, they are there to do business, and when businesses approach them to say you need a loan, it's a case of making sure that you submit all the necessary things, so yes, you actually will be able to repay back, and that's one. Then number two is a case of, yes, if bank A is not giving you what you need, honorable, I'll just advise that you might want to approach bank B and show them, okay, this is the business I am doing with bank A. If I bring my business to bank B,
can I reply this one?
Sure.
Oh, sure, sir.
All right, I've met bank B, bank C, bank D, bank E, bank F. See, what are you asking? You are asking for a collateral for someone that has a machine that what 15 million.
Yeah, but
it was begging. I want 15 million. So that machine that want 15 million, and he was begging you for a loan of 3 million to purchase few things.
Yeah, honorable, but do you have a cooperative, honorable? Because the report is saying that trade organizations, cooperative, are where people are getting loans from. Do you belong to any trade cooperative where you can get loans from?
Let me tell you, I've run this business for this is my 17 years of this business.
Wow.
From one shop to 12 shops. You know, it's not a tight place.
I hear you.
You understand? And I've handled a lot of businesses. Like I told you, my business is something that is profitable, but because we are taking from this 1 month, 2 months loan, we'll be able to use our gain to do services of those loans. You know, when I hear Nigeria servicing a loan, I thought it was a church plan. So we started doing these things.
Started servicing.
Yeah, yes. You know what it means to release 580,000 as interest every month for a particular loan, and you serving the other ones. Huh?
I said, which you eat into your profit, they're supposed to make money.
Now, yes. Of course, yes. Now, so imagine where you release in a month, you are servicing about 3 or 4 online banks with 1 million.
Gotcha. I mean, Honorable, I thank you for giving us the on the field, on the spot assessment. I think it's very, very, you give us that perspective, and I think I appreciate it. Let me quickly just get from that guys here to speak. Honorable, I appreciate you. You can DM me. Let's talk more. Let me get Olumide is here. Olumide, you've been hearing us. Yinka has been here from Info Point talking about the report on financial inclusion. You've talked a lot about this, Olumide, already. But I want to just get your feel on the report or what else you think is there in the report. Olumide, please hop in.
Yeah, good evening, Carlo. I just wanted to make a different dimension. I listened to all these positions from speakers, and I understand the pessimism around Nigerian banks giving out loans. And to be honest with you, yes, it's not. It's harder than what it was before. But to be fair, would you really blame the banks? Now, if you look at data, for example, non-performing loans are at around 4.3%. It's about to drop to 3.8%. You see the fact that Nigerian banks are profitable. You see the fact that Nigerian banks make sizable amount of income from interest. So it means that they were giving out loans, but banks are more selective. If you look at Zenith, for example, they had a very deep exposure in the oil industry. You look at assets, manufacturing, you look at First Bank Agriculture. So the question is why do people miss out and why are more businesses suffering? So it's an intentional strategy by the banks because we have a weak enforcement strategies. You know, there are a lot of businesses that have hurt banks. There was a time banks tried to do the shame publication for defaulters. It didn't really work. And you see, these things, it hit on shareholders. There are a couple of banks that have been delisted from the stock market because of toxic exposure to debt. And you need to understand that apart from the fact that they are answerable to shareholders, they also play a systemic role in the Nigerian economy in terms of liquidity. We are not there yet, but the truth of the matter is that there are ways you can come out of it. So I just want to give short examples, 3 examples. I use 4 tier 1 banks, for example. I run a small business, people who are not in the country. And I've been running to do small business for 3-4 years. And the truth of the matter is that 2 people reached out to me that if I wanted to expand, they were ready to support me financially, which was quite unusual. So I tried to reach out to the account officer to explain what are the incentives that makes you signal a customer. And they look at your inflows, they look at the business, they look at the risk, they assess you because they have a credit, they have to assess you, you understand? And that's how they take their own, because banks are in to make money, and also they are also in a regulated industry, so you don't expect to push out. Then another thing I also want us to understand is that let's not forget that banks are coming from a place where the naira devalued by about 43%. So FX loans really hurt their, And that was why S&P in 2025 really monitored 7 Nigerian banks on watch list, because when your currency is devalued, it really gives FX positions against bank liabilities. It's big on banks, becomes bigger, and you see that affecting banks like Unity Bank. So I want us to also look at the fact that we have a high rate of delinquency in the Nigerian economy, and also people don't really understand relationship with banking. People think banking is just about going to the bank to get a loan, putting money. No, bank goes beyond that. You need to build a relationship. You need to go through, is the business properly registered? Are you paying your tax? Are you clear? Do you have a transparent, are your transaction captured? So yeah, while you do those things, I'm not saying it works out 100%, just like the Honorable said that he faces so much, but I just want to put it out there that sizable amount of people still access, and those that have access is based on certain criteria, their personality, the type of business they run, the risk involved, the benefit. So each banks have different systems. For example, Stanbic, if you are really into trading and you are looking at real estate and things like that, Stanbic is something that interests you. If you're looking at really manufacturing, looking at deep the other sector, Zenith, but you see, that is why I say that coming to the stock market is not just about buying a stock. You need to understand the characteristics of each bank. It's just like you're dating an Igbo woman, a Yoruba woman, and also man. They are all Nigerians, but methodologically and based environmental factors make them think differently. So if you think you access an Igbo lady in the same way or Yoruba lady, you might get pointed. So it's the same way Nigerian banks. They are all Nigerian banks, but they have different fundamentals. So I just wanted to add that into the pipeline.
Good perspective. Honorable, before you go.
I want to point out.
Yeah, Yinka, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to add to what you just said. So 2023 reports, so I've not really looked at the bank reports for 2024, but 2023 reports are like that. So the average non-performing loan rates around, it's just single digits, less than 5%.
Wow.
But then a new bank in Nigeria in 2021 and 2022, I believe, had non-performing loan of about 69%. Another one before that did about 30 to 40% in non-performing loans.
Interesting.
I see the gaps, about 67% NPL to a single digit of the commercial banks. Just to add to what Olumide points about the fact that these guys are giving loan and they are trying to just make sure that they are protected.
Yeah, because the banks also correct, but the banks also have shareholders, stakeholders. They have to make sure that. Got you. But honorable, people are asking me to ask you a question. They're saying that, have you considered equity, or will you consider equity? They're just wondering why you've been in business for 15 years or so. Have you ever considered selling shares, even if it's just honorable? I want to hear your take on this, honorable, if you're still here.
Like I said before, that if I have this online bank like 7-8 years ago, I would have made a lot of money because I know I can service their loan. But when you talk about shares, I don't know how it works. I'm running that business as my hobby, something that I find so happy running. Okay, and I have a lot of workers both inside and outside, people that come to learn, people that I maintain, people that I see their place as their means of living. You understand? So if I have people that can, if there's a way we can make it be good the way you want it, that would be a nice one. I'm ready to, you understand, to share the idea with people so that we can make it be a bigger one.
Yeah.
So if there is a way out, I'm ready for it. But I'm telling you that Nigerian bank have frustrated a lot of people, which I'm one of them. But
I hear you. Doc, Doc, the key thing I heard you say is this: you don't know how it works, and that only did you hear his answer, Yinka? That's the big indictment, because someone like this is a prime candidate for, is it the second tier stock exchange? Why can't someone like this come in and raise, even if it's notes, even if it's just notes, to say I'll do a note, people will invest in that note, and he pays them back after 90 days. Private notes. This is what happens in the U. Those unsecured notes.
That actually works for him would be crowdfunding. So, about like a few crowdfunding platforms that are registered by SEC in Nigeria at the moment. So, and all these guys do is you collect. In fact, I did a report with SEC earlier last year, and then we look at it, and then look at the highest interest rate is about, I think about 12%, and then just for a period of 90 days. So for that, she's going to have people that just need 100 million, people that need 50 million, people that need 20 million, just for a short period of time, rather than going to anywhere. Just approach a crowdfunding platform, they listed, ask you to invest in you, and in 2-3 months, they get back their capital with interest, and everybody's happy. And it's cheaper than what banks will give you.
Clearly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. So, for example, if you look at a tier 2 bank like Sterling or Wema, for example, it's easier for a small business in a localized location to access than going to an access on GT, for example. Then you also need to look at the age of the entrepreneur and the level of sophistication of the entrepreneur. Because, see, like I mentioned, banks will definitely evaluate all the things. Banks are not stingy as people bring it out here. Look at what they are even depends on at this thing. Even not for the CBN in itself, banks will do more. And you need to understand that the CBN really monitors their...
I disagree with you on that. I disagree with you on that.
And hold on,
I disagree with you on that.
I know, but
Honorable, I'll let you speak. I'll bring you back. Yeah, go ahead.
It's fair for you to disagree, but what I'm just trying to make you understand is that the primary function of banks is, apart from providing liquidity in the space, is supporting the production side of the economy. But the painful part is that the production part of the economy has been on the downside. And if you look at Nigerian banks over the years, they've been more like the Goldman Sachs of the future, like investing more in investment banking and more on macro businesses, which has been making them look like they are immune from the Nigerian economy. Despite the fact that the Nigerian economic stuff, you see that they are making money. Now, coming back to you, sir, what I'm trying to pick out here is that you need to understand that Nigerian banks have been bounced many times before, like what Yinka brought upon performing loans. And it really hurt them that some of them really had to go under. So these banks are fully aware. So they've really put in so much work. So for you to get into that play, what I'm saying here is that, first of all, you really need to have a personal relationship with your bank. Secondly, I think it's not late, because banks even have a certain amount they give to small medium. So I think, like Fidelity, for example, let me start calling them now. Fidelity, for example, they have a program, a portal. If you're a small business, for example, because I remember my friends that used Fidelity, for example, that had small businesses, they joined profile. In fact, the portal allows you to connect with other businesses. Standard Chartered does the same. Standard Chartered will invite you to the business programs, they educate you, you meet business managers, GTUB. So that's why I get surprised when a lot of people say that. The thing is that you really need to understand how people make it work, because you need networking, you need information, and you need the right requirements for you to tap in. So that's why I was to come.
Okay, Honorable, I don't know if you're still here. Honorable, you are disagreeing with him, because your answer, lots of people are sending me the DMs. Why can't alternative markets? You are a prime candidate. You've been here for more than 10 years. I heard you say you make 17. You make more than, I think your margin is about 60%. Because you said when you do $1 million, you get 6 million. When you do 10, you get 6. So your margin is about 60%. If you are there for 17 years, 60% margins, you've been around, you qualify. I'm just saying, if you don't know about it, maybe the SME guys, maybe the NGX folks are looking up and not looking down, maybe. But go ahead, sir. You give your response to Lumide. So I move on.
What all Olumide said, I disagree with him. He has not been on the streets as we are. Okay, like I told you that I started asking for loan late 2023, late 2023. After I lost my election, you understand? I've never asked for a loan because my business can give me what I want. But I told you that I contested and I sold a lot of properties. You understand? So now, in order to cash back into the business, I requested for loan from several banks, even Fidelity he mentioned. I went to Fidelity, they said I must run my business like 6 months with them. I said, okay. Then, what again did they say that, okay, I said, I have a land. They said, it must have a C of O. I said, okay. Then from there to Access, from Access to FCMB, from FCMB to Polaris, my brother, Nigerian banks are not helpful to small, medium, and you understand, SMB. So they are not helpful. They only want to help their own brothers. If you are not their brother, people they eat and dine with, you cannot get anything from them. You need Jesus to come and shut it for you. That you're a nice person before you give you money.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
Honorable. Can you imagine? Like I said, I've been in a the same address for 17 years. The same address for 17 years. Going from one place to another, expanding at the same place. You understand? I have machines that does what I want. I don't go outside to do my job. I do everything there. Now, and somebody will tell you that bank is not that, one of Lumide's description of bank is that they're not that stingy. Who said that, man? It's unfair to us. Now, listen here.
Yeah, but I said an important point that I wanted us to talk. So, Fidelity, for example, you need to run the account for 6 months. That is the normal requirement because they really need to see actually. Yes, so they need to capture. That was what I was like. That was.
They need to capture what you are doing.
But when you submitted another bank, what do you call it? Another bank statement of account, they said no. They want their own.
Yeah. That's the usual thing.
Just to so let me tell you this.
That's why I was trying to praise kind of all this online bank, something like Carbon, something like OPay, PalmPay. You understand? These 3 banks, I can generate 2.5 in a few. I'm not running anything with them all. I'm not running anything with them, but I don't. Yes, I'm not running.
Those guys are losing more money than the banks.
Is that a factual statement? That's a factual statement, Yinka?
They are recording more non-performing loans.
But yes,
I'm just asking.
Yinka, wait. I'm telling you about myself that I'm telling you how I survived. So the way you criticize them, you are making people like us that are seeing them as savior, as you are insulting our savior. You understand?
No, I did not criticize them. I'm honestly.
That's what you're trying to say before.
All right,
I did not criticize. No.
These people are giving us life, even though it's a hard life.
Honorable.
Even though it's a hard life.
Honorable.
Even if it's a hard life, but they're saving us.
Okay.
At the point of our needs.
Honorable, I think this is not like this is like I think everybody is correct.
I'm basically saying the same thing.
I think everybody is correct because if I'm a bank shareholder, I want my bank guys to give me my principal back, which means when I give them deposits and they give it to you, I want you to pay back and I get my dividends. That's me. But if I also want the banks to support the SMEs. I think in the middle is the truth. The economy is hard. Folks are not paying back loans. You are in a very, very good business side. I think you've done a very, very good job. but you might be, I don't think you are the rule. Maybe you are the exception. And it's just me saying, sir. So I think that both sides are correct in this instance because Nigeria's bank wants to make money too. And if you're a 17-year-old veteran of this industry with 60% margin cannot get a loan from a Nigerian bank, we have bigger issues. But guys, let's move to folks want to speak, and we're going to close the space. I want to leave Yinka to go. Let's do Greatness, Obiago, and Oxley. Greatness, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Let's keep it short if you don't mind. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, very short. This discussion has triggered so many emotions in me, honestly. Our banks are not doing all right. They are not doing well at all, and they are not being supportive. Now, if we look at other countries are like that, what
I'm not sure but I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So let me move on. Greatness, if you're still speaking, I can't hear you. Let's go to Obiago. Greatness, I really can't hear you. Obiago, please hop in.
Yeah, good evening everyone.
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Carlo, first time on your space.
Welcome,
thank you
sir.
Very much.
I'll buy you a bell. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's quite interesting topic tonight, and I'm happy to be here. First, I want to say that, the Nigerian bank, they are trying their best to make sure that things work out, but I would want them to do more, because just like the Honorable said, our saving grace now, the online apps. The online apps are helping because you can immediately reach out to them and they will give you money, even though you have to pay. Even though you have to pay with hard labor, and when you fail to meet up on the due dates, a lot of messages, including threats, will be coming in. Like, you don't pay when you're supposed to pay. You've seen some funny message that you'll be wondering, is it with people that should be your customer that is sending you the message? Like,
is this speaking or is it my network?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. You can hear him.
Can you hear me?
You can. Hold on. Olumide, can you hear him? So you can. He's basically saying that he's in support of the loan apps. He's saying the banks don't give loans. Obiago, ask your question. Let me ask him very quickly for you.
Okay. So my question is, why is it difficult for us to access money from our bank? Mostly, you see, bank you've been banking with for many years.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I've been using First Bank for many years and Access Bank.
Yep.
You go out there to look for maybe something of 500,000. You can't get such money.
Okay, let me ask you. Hold on.
Then two.
Hold on. We have to. So Yinka is essentially saying that why is it so hard to get a loan from a bank? We look at the statistics already. Cooperatives are winning commercial banks, or according to your report, cooperatives are higher than commercial banks. So how to give out loans? Why apart from the normal banking, non-performing loans, why is it hard for Nigerian banks to give loans?
So I won't say it's that hard. So it's just a case of them making sure that one, you have the ability to pay back, and two, if you are not salaried, you are not a salary earner. So you have to submit collaterals and all that to support that. Okay, if you default on this loan, we can go ahead and take this. So I think it's just a case of them edging against laws to make sure that they are protected, as well as protecting the interests of their shareholders. It's just basically they are in there for business. They are in there for business, and one of the businesses is to make sure that yes, they give people loans.
Okay, Yinka, I hear you. Okay, because this is an answer. It's an answer I will give. It's an answer I will give, but that's why I'm very surprised that the report also said that Nigerians have a high trust in banks. I mean, only about less than 10% have a negative report on banks. But if banks are not giving out loans, then that's an issue. Let's quickly get I don't know. There's no name here. Is it Dicola?
Yes, dear caller.
Dear caller, please go ahead, dear caller.
Okay, my submission is that I think everything we are discussing here is based on design. So, the shareholders in most of all these banks, they don't want to lend money to the general public because of Nigerians' behavior towards loans. If you borrow majority of their money, you'll be money after them before they will pay back. So it's better for them to just lend all these big guys money for business. Like instead of me giving 1,000 Nigerians a total sum of 1 billion, let me just give it to 2 or 3% that I can actually hold. So that's why when Mr. Olumide was talking, was saying that some banks are going into some markets, agriculture, construction, manufacturing. So they target the big guys there and they just venture into it. So it is by design. It's not as if they don't want to borrow the general public's money, but the stress of going after each person. So they don't want to do that. And also, if you look at the way the banks loan apps are working, the amount that they are getting back from what they are borrowing, banks cannot charge you that. So what if these banks shareholders are also the one behind most of all these loan apps? So since they don't want to borrow you money, they set up a platform that, okay, this platform can harass you and they can overbill you.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good conspiracy. Okay, I hear you. I think Yinka, do you hear what he said? I think it might sound funny, but he's saying there's favoritism in banking, and that because the regulations do not allow the banks to charge a fee that compensates for the risk, the banks have outsourced lending, so they can charge fees that compensate for the risk.
I only heard the last few parts.
Yeah, he's saying number one, banks do not. The most important thing I really want to talk is this. He's saying because banks cannot charge interest rate to compensate for the risk they are taking to lending to Nigerians, they may be the ones supporting the loan apps. Because loan apps can charge you a rate that compensates them for the risk they are taking. You heard Honorable saying he pays almost 50%. That's commensurate to the level of risk in Nigeria. So it's an interesting comment. You see, what's your take on that?
It's too high. 50% is too high.
What do you think a rate would be? I mean, what's the risk in Nigeria of a company failing? I mean, there's no power. If I'm a bank and I want to lend you money, the first question I want to ask you is, how are you powered? How you power your factory? Because that might take all my money. So if you start to tell, we had a guy here that was selling clothes, selling the safety equipment, and he said he's doing solar. So I like that business because it's not going to take a lot of money to power. But if you are going to spend 50-60% on power, how do you pay me back? Yinka, you don't want to have a comment on that, or should move on?
Well, I just wanted to add on to what you just said. So, if you look at what he was saying, I want to Brazilian banks provide some form of liquidity for loan apps, but I don't think it's
some banks not giving loans.
Yes. Okay. So Yinka, I think Yinka is having issues with this. Yinka, are you still with us? Okay, you guys have to start round of the space. But Olumide, I think you hear his point. He might be saying it. He might be saying it in layman terms, but I think he's making a very, very important point. If you don't price, the loans appropriately by China and interest rate.
That's why I try to educate people not to underrate the importance of our banks when they're comparing fintech apps. So, for example, if you look at, I think 2020 or 2021 result, I tried to compare Kuda with Zenith. And I mentioned the fact that despite the fact Kuda had a greater valuation than Zenith, if you look at the profit and you look at loan books and you look at the loss the bank held, if that was listed on the stock market, Zenith will suffer. So you also need to understand that we are in a system or in an environment where the investors, the populists or the capital market really take particular risk exposure. So taking that kind of getting that kind of rate is almost impossible. So yeah, probably maybe there's an indirect arrangement, but that shouldn't make people put fintech loan apps ahead of banks, because you really need to understand that banks play key roles. Like, for example, you want to collect letter of credit, swaps, you want to run an arrangement. Many of these banks, particularly tier one, they have arrangements in France, UK, the US. They can help you structure arrangements. So I think what this gentleman needs, for example, if I was his account manager, the first thing I'll do, since he has an history of 17 years, I'll walk to any of these banks physically. And I can tell you, maybe, I just don't want to call names, because if you look at Standard Chartered, for example, they have programs for small, medium skills. Look at Fidelity, for example. You look at UP, for example. So the question is the people or the branches using, because branch also play key roles. If you look at people in the rural area, for example, the kind of opportunities they get, you can't compare with people in the urban area. And that's why if you look at bank data, you look at the Lagos environment, for example, they attract more loans than any other region in the country. So it's also factors you need to also consider when you're looking at those things.
All right, fantastic. We're going to have a space on just the banks in Nigeria, Lumide. I'm already seeing a guest here on this space. We're going to have a space just on banking, and we'll just have to drill down on this. But let me just have two more guys speak. You guys having, I don't know if you're having issues with this audio. And then if you guys would have...
I'm back now if you can hear me.
Gotcha, I can hear you, Yinka. Okay, let's get Samuel Udeji, and then we'll get Oxley Tech after Samuel, and then we'll see what we're going to do. So, Samuel, you've got the floor. Go ahead. Samuel.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic, and I love it. I would have loved to listen all this while, but I feel like adding to what is going on, my experience with banking. Well, we are in a tight situation in Nigeria. Nigerian banking are not ready for hide and seek game, maybe manufacturing aspect of business in Nigeria. They only based on trading. Some business they can predict within 2 or 2 months to get their money back. They are not investing in a long time, maybe a year thereabouts. That's my own experience with Nigerian banking. As well as, even when you have a clear business, if you don't have a strong relationship with the management, maybe your account officer is up and doing, is well respected in the branch, nobody will listen to you. Some account officers are not even bold enough to present your case to the bank management. It's a personal experience. So I think government needs to step in to encourage Nigerian bank to fund our SMEs. That's just the area I'm looking at.
I don't think government can do it.
If government are not stepping in to give them backup loan, even the kind of money they drop in back of industry that nobody uses, if government can give them some coverage, give so and so amount of money to so and so number of SME, let's see how they will perform within a year or thereabout. I think that will encourage some of them because they're not ready to take the risk. They're not ready to take the risk. For instance, I run account with Snapbank for over 20 years. I run account with Snapbank for over 20 years. Snapbank is the main financier of my clients, but they can't give me a 1 naira to run the business. At the same time, the client will insist that they will pay my money through Snapbank account. If you want to submit to other bank, I will need to fund the project, the work, but they say they prefer Snapbank. But that says Snapbank are not ready to listen to you, to give you 1 night, to go and do the same job. They fund and monitor the transaction risk.
All right.
If you are not well known in the society and are not seen as a big fish, won't ask me, do your name open door?
All right.
You know, some of that staff are not ready to assist.
Samuel, I get
not
you.
ready to listen.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. And again, I just have to push back and say the numbers should speak to the bank, not the personality. The numbers, right? If someone is 70 years, one location, has a business that is doing 60% margin, the number should just speak. I get the issue. I understand the Nigerian issue. No, I get it. Yes, Samuel.
To defend the bank. Bank are not looking at those numbers.
Yes.
They are not looking at those numbers. They are looking at personality, the individuals.
Okay.
Your name.
All right.
Okay, who is shorting you?
Mr. Samuel, if they are looking at individual personality, I have the personality. I'm a well-known person.
He's a honorable.
I'm a well-known person. So, if you go that direction, I will tell you, I may disagree with you because I have said it. They only give to their brothers and sisters. People they dine with. Then you need Jesus before you get something from this bank. Imagine, Access Bank is very close to me. UBA is very close to me. Zenith is very close. All these banks are very close to me. You know, I've been there before all of them arrived December facility. But they cannot even assist or do anything. So that's why I always thank this online banking and wonder I'll be their ambassador to tell people don't mind their intent. They are Yamaha of Barcelona when goal is needed. So that's it.
All right.
Well,
No.
Nigerian banking, we need to do more. That's what I believe.
All right.
We need to do more. They have to.
Gotcha. Let's get Oxley Tech. Let's get Oxley Tech. Also, I don't know if you're listening to us. We're talking about the report from Intel Point, talking about access to finance in Nigeria. Been very, very engaging. The report has generated a lot of issues, like you said, on this space here. Lots of banks, cooperatives, and all that. What's your take?
Okay, I will thank you for yet another opportunity to discuss some of these issues. So here is what I think. In terms of being credit for the banks today, as we speak, first of all, you have to. There are a couple of things that prevent people from getting access to facility. For example, you see somebody that has interest to get a facility in the near future. You see them, they are running savings accounts, individual savings accounts with their names, right? Meanwhile, they have a company. They will have a company registered as incorporated as a limited liability or as a business name. But when they are not asking for loan, the bank give you loan on your name. So if you are set up a business and you want in the near future you're going to be asking for loan for to own your business, you need to incorporate your business, open a normal corporate account with your company name, get it incorporated, open an account with that name, and start doing transactions through those accounts. Because what the banks are opening is they want to see your turnover over a period of time. They want to see your turnover. And it's from that history that they will be able to, when it comes to them 5 years down the line, they will be able to access, because this is about data. They will look at data. They have every bank has credit risk departments. They evaluate you and see whether you make up. I understand the challenges that the banks don't really give loan.
Sorry for interrupting you. Please, can I submit my own name to you? My business I've run for 17 years. I mean, not my personal name. I mean my business name. Can I submit it to you so that you can evaluate it and give me loan tomorrow?
It's not a bank, obviously.
It's not necessarily to you, but I'm speaking to the challenges business is faced in terms of loan. Now, I understand that the banks are very skeptical in giving loan, particularly the tier 1 banks. They don't normally give loan to small businesses. But I remember the days of Diamond Bank. Diamond Bank was big on SME. In fact, Diamond Bank was the biggest SME bank before it became Access Bank. Everything started to take that one away from them. Go to any business area. Ask them the days of Diamond Bank. Diamond Bank was sweet with SME. But they also have the highest non-performing loan, particularly consumer-related non-performing loan. It's not necessarily the ones in corporate banking. Consumer-related non-performing loan. Diamond Bank burns their fingers a lot, but also they made a lot of money anyway. So Olumide knows what I'm talking about, right?
right? So these are the challenges, and I tell you also, the regulators have also tried to deal with some of these issues. You will know the central bank put in place something that is called global standing instruction, where if you have collected a loan in bank A and it goes back, you cannot collect that loan. You cannot go to bank B to collect loan. In fact, the global standing instruction works so well that if you are a director in that bank where in a company where a bad loan has been collected and was not paid, even if you show up with your BDN in another company as a director, once your BDN shows up in another company elsewhere and they are looking for loan, because your BDN has been associated with another company that didn't pay their loan back, so if you sit at the back end of some of these banks in their credit administration, they have a lot of data they are looking at that you don't know. There are a lot of tools that within their proposal. There is an ICAD, they call it Industry Accounts Database, where everyone at close of business shifts all their accounts to that ICAD database that sits on a list, right? I'm saying this because I know I deal with a lot of data. I'm a data person anyway. They shift those data daily, and that ICAD data goes into the global standard instruction. So you might apply for a loan and the bank will decline, but you don't have a sense of the data they are looking at. They are looking at a whole lot of data, and those data are very available. So those are the challenges. I understand that there are issues with banks not giving loan, or the tier 2 banks, just like Olumide said, the Fidelity banks of this world, the Wema, the Sterling and Co. They take some risks with some of these small businesses.
All right.
It might not be as much as we want to see them. And also, the central bank too guarantees there are some funding that comes from central bank for specific industries. That central bank, guarantees and they disburse those loans through the bank. So central banks also try to do a whole lot. But I understand the argument that is being made.
Okay, Oxley. So we're just going to round down up now. So honorable, someone said you should check your DM. I think he wants to do equity with you. That's what someone said. They said another lady. I don't know if she works in ASML. She's asking anyone that wants to scale through what we used to call second tier markets in the Nigerian NGX. You should contact her. That's Ada. I'm going to ask her to come in and talk to us. But I think I have, let's just, Yinka and Olumide, I think what we're hearing is the feedback on the report. And I think the feedback is very, very real and it's very, very ground up. I don't think anybody has any issue with the report, but I think the inclusion, the financial inclusion side, especially the credit side, even when I spotted the Yinka, Yinka, when I go back to you, I said, wow, commercial banks are doing more than fintechs. Because I always thought fintechs have overtaken commercial banks. And there was a report I saw, not from you, a long time ago, that said less than 5% of Nigerian banks had ever accessed a banking loan. I saw that report a long time ago. And, it just hit me that less than 5% had accessed that loan in Nigeria. So I think that's the feedback. And if you guys are ever going to do a report again, I think that credit side is just going to be very, very important, Yinka. So, okay, the guy had added this here. If you want to do Prince, real quick, Prince, before I let Yinka go, real quick, go for it.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, so I just want to chip in a few stuff here. Concerning credits, I think banks like Wema Bank and Access Bank, where I can vouch for Wema Bank. These are banks you can actually walk up to and get access to facilities. I don't know, I heard someone saying that he has been in business for quite a while and he has not gotten access to credit for a while.
Do you work for Wema? You have links in Wema?
Yes, I actually run the finance company. I provide credit as well.
Okay, can you see the guy called Honorable? Can you see Honorable on the speaker? You see Honorable?
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Yes,
that's the guy. That's Honorable. He's staying for 17 years in running. He's trying to get loans.
I don't know. I
So
don't know why.
can you? He's right there. He's right. He's right there. DM him. I mean, he's a good borrower. He's borrowing and paying back. So I would just say contact him.
But what I'm here to say is, if you walk into a bank, yeah, and you have good numbers, you obviously get business support. You might not just get a 150 million or 200 million instantly. What they do is you get to grow that account with them. They give you business support of 15 million.
It's not true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Honorable, let him land. Then we'll.
Okay.
And this Prince, you have to. I just you just give it a.
Okay. Sorry. So you have to walk into a bank. You should go to Wema Bank. You definitely get access to credit if you have a running business and your account actually does numbers, just like you've stated. So walk into a bank, you definitely get access. You get access to business support. That's the minimum you get. You get like 20 million or 15 million or so.
I wish I can bring Honorable back here next week. Honorable, maybe you can go to Wema Bank.
You can actually chat me up. I'll link you up with someone in Wema Bank. I don't know where you live. If you live in Abuja, I can maybe meet with you maybe tomorrow.
Honorable, are you hearing him? Honorable, I hear
you.
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Honorable, please, can you DM me if you just DM me the highlight so I can come back to this. I don't mind you just DM me. I'll come back to this. And Honorable, the lady is from Marystown. She's saying if you want to look at the equity side, she can also talk to you about that. So those are the two. At least let me know that. Yeah.
I think we've forgotten this in our discussion. Banks look at political risk too. Like, you need to understand that Honorable is a politician.
It's politically exposed.
He's a politician. He's a politician, so it also holds. Because even in Europe, for example, when you are signing forms here, they will ask you, are your parents politically connected? When you read those flags, political, you could try another phase of compliance from them. This is even in Europe, so much less Nigeria. So he also needs to take his political exposure into consideration, because if he has met all these things, I think that's why I always advise that if you cannot afford a financial lawyer, go to an investment banker, because if he had a relationship with an investment banker, all these problems he had, those ones would have sorted out for him, because I think his problem is a specific problem. And my guess is either his political exposure or the fact that the banks are really worried about certain specific stuff.
Okay. I hear you. I mean, he's here. I'm sure he will come back with something. He's here. Not a problem. Yinka, did you have any closing words? Prince, thank you.
I was not done.
Yeah, go ahead, Prince.
I also have my own issue as well.
Sorry, Prince. Go ahead.
For what I do, I've also tried to get access to credit too countless times, but I've not also been able to access credit. And the credit they're actually offering to us as a company, it doesn't really make sense to us. They're trying to offer like business support facilities like 30 million, and so it doesn't, for the numbers we do at Orange Capital, it really does not make sense to us. We've tried like get serious credit, but all the time, not like we can't get access to this credit, but these certain collaterals they do ask for, like especially you have to like get a land and property. For almost all the bank, I've been to Wema Bank. I have people in Wema Bank. When I speak about Wema Bank, I mean like top level Wema Bank staff. I've been to Wema Bank. We have an account with Keystone. We also have an account with Charge Bank. I understand the whole Charge Bank thing and how they get to provide credit and all of that. But for these banks I speak about, they really do not like they do not provide credits to business people. But you have to like grow with them. They give you like 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, like that. But for us, for what we do, we can't like rely on that for the business we do. We can't be taking 15 million.
What business do you do?
Okay, I provide credit as well.
So you are like a pass-through?
No, my company provides credit. Like we provide credit as well.
So
you a private lending company.
So where do you get the funds to lend out from?
okay, well, personal funds. We also have people who have actually like believe in what we do, so they invest funds like the 100.
That's equity, or is that equity or debt?
No, just pure investment.
So equity or debt? Are they giving you equity or debt?
Just funds, strictly.
Okay. All right. Got you. All right. Okay, Prince, we're going to round up the space. Just for a few folks having audio issues. Yinka, any closing words?
Yeah. No closing. I just like to share a private personal experience quickly. So I've been using the bank for a couple of years. And last year I approached them, okay, I need this facility. They said I can't get the facility. Okay, fine. I approached another bank. Like, this is what I want. And they said if I move my salary from the current bank to their bank, and in 2 to 3 months, I can access the facility. And I did. I reached out, I went to the place, okay, yes, my salary has been here. Can you profile me for a credit? And they provided me, and in less than 48 hours thereabout, I was profiled, and like, this is what you have access to. Bring this, bring that, bring this, and you are good to go. And it was that. So it's a case of yes, and will I be able to pay back for it? And if Bank A is not giving it to me, I went to Bank B, and in really short period of time, Bank E gave it to me, which was why I said what I said earlier about approaching another bank if they don't give it. They don't give that. That's one. Then the second one is the report we've been dissecting this morning. I mean, since for the past almost 2 hours now, is was released by Interpoint in partnership with Finance in Africa, and you can get the report at interpoint.co. Yes, thank you very much, Carlo, for hosting, and Olumide and every other speaker on the call.
Perfect. I think it's been very, very interesting. About the reports just brings up a lot of information. We can't do this long. We're going to have a special space. I'm going to bring in Olumide on the other guy. I haven't asked him yet, although I've asked him, but he hasn't answered. So come in and let's just talk about Nigerian banks. Extract this 1 trillion results. See which banks are doing well, which ones are laggard. Just Nigerian bank space. We're going to do that pretty soon. I see the guy here. You see me, I'm seeing you. We're going to bring you. All right, folks, thank you once again for just hanging out with us to talk money, economy, and finance. Not a lot of space to do that, but we are here every weekend, Sunday, 7 p.m. West African time, talking about money to make you a better investor and, of course, a better steward of your money. So thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. We hope you would be with us next week as well when we have another guest here on the same themes. If you do want to learn about money, guys, YouTube is free. Lots of apps online are free. Investopedia, the Motley Fool, lots of them are free. Lots of investment houses also have free educational sites. Go out there, learn about this stuff. Watch Bloomberg at least once an hour. Learn what the terms mean and start to use it. No one's going to mentor you. It doesn't work. You've got to make the effort to learn, then come in and ask specific questions. I also have a book, Let's Talk About Your Money, written in plain language you can also understand and learn from. So read books, immerse yourself in podcasts, Bloomberg, start talk about money, get better with that, with money, learn about taxes and all that. And of course, that knowledge is never ever going to be wasted. On that note, guys, I'll let you guys go. Do have a great week coming up. And again, thanks Intel Point and Yinka for being here. Olumide, always thank you so much. You guys have a great week.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. You're welcome. Have a good one, guys. And bye.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.